What up, y'all? What up? We back again, man. We're gonna let a few more people come in here, you know what I'm saying? We slowly growing. We be up to about 20 people in here now. I be seeing it. I be seeing it. Yeah. It's a slow grind, but we on the way. All right, what up, what up? Welcome back again. I'm MoeDotJ. This is the Mo you know. I have no idea what's going on with my internet, but it still seems like my YouTube is like choppy. I have no idea what the hell's going on. But as long as you guys can hear me, give me a thumbs up if you can hear the audio all right. Because I know that my video is lagging a little bit, but it's been doing that since this morning. So I don't know. But today we have shout out to Eric. Just like Torian, I heard about this case. I never followed it. I remember when it happened last year. I think it was like November, October, November, one of them. But I heard about it. It's finally going to trial now. They're trying to get things tossed out. Even some of the even some of the family members are saying they don't even know if he actually did this or if he would have had time to do it. So it's a lot of crazy things going on. Eric brought it to my attention this morning. We got some, of course, we got long crime footage. So we're going to go over there and do that. We're going to run through the timeline, understand what's going on with this story. Believe it or not, this gentleman, I think they said he had a PhD. So he was a doctor doing all of this. I could be wrong. Like I said, I'm not too familiar. But the reason we do this is because the more you know, the more I know. So we're gonna go ahead and jump into this. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. We need 20 more subscribers, and we got 200 over here. And we really only been working on the channel for about a month and a half, 2 months, but we're really pushing it now. We're doing daily lives on here. We got daily lives on MoeDotJ. We got Tubi after this. So I'm trying to work as much as possible up to me leaving. So hopefully, my channel will still be in good standings and be in the algorithm a little while I'm gone. But hey, if not, if I retire, when I get over there, all they can say is Mo gave us a hell of a run. When y'all lay y'all head on y'all pillow at night and you look up one morning and say, man, Mo ain't doing videos no more, just know before I relocated, I gave you guys everything I had. Just know. Today, we're going to probably have roughly 8 hours of live streaming. We got 2.5, or no, we did 1.5 earlier. About to do 2.5 now. Then Tubi carries over to 2.5, 6 hours, 7 hours. I'm doing this for y'all, man. I'm consuming all of my time. I haven't did any homework today. I said, no, we need to get on these lives. It's more important. What's more important? Learning something or learning something? You know what I mean? Well, I figure it's learning something. So today, the Mo you know, Bryan Kohberger. So let's go ahead and jump into the timeline of this. And let's see everything that has transpired since last year. Let me see. Oh, he was a criminal law student. What is he thinking he was? How to Get Away with Murder? Over on CBS, they have an actual timeline broken down for us. So I wouldn't have to piece it together. But of course, as we do this, we'll probably jump around. If they come up to a key point, we'll probably try to find the footage for that and see what they got to say. And we'll just break it down as it goes. Hey, man, CBS. Yeah, we want to add block. Come on, man. Oh, well, cool. We ain't even got to go through that. All right, here we go. All right. Idaho student murders, a timeline of the killings and investigation. All right. 48 hours and correspondent Peter Van Sant revealed new information about the case against Bryan Kohberger for the November. Oh, it was November. I thought it was either October. For the November 13th, 2022 deaths of four University Idaho students, the night of the Idaho student murders, airing September 16th, streaming on Paramount Plus. Hold on. So they already have a film out for this? Sneak peek of the Idaho student murders. So if you have Paramount Plus, I encourage you guys to watch it so we can have a better understanding of it. So it came on Saturday on CBS and streaming. Well, I won't be able to play that on here because it's Paramount Plus, but I'm gonna have to check that movie out. All right. Four University of Idaho students are discovered stabbed to death on November. Would led officials to an arrest in the case. See key dates in the investigation. So these are the young women and the young man. Police respond to a report of a unconscious person that they revealed, no, that they received around 11:58 a.m. on Sunday, November 13th. They're members of the Moscow, what? Oh, Moscow, Idaho. All right. They're members of Moscow Police Department found four University of Idaho students dead on the second and third floors of the home. Kylie, Madison, and Xana were roommates who lived in the home, while the fourth victim, Ethan, did not live there but was dating Kernoodle. The two other roommates lived in the home but were not attacked, and police said they believe they slept through the killings. There we go. All right. So this is the house. November 13th, off campus murders. Four University of Idaho students are found dead in the off campus home where three of the victims lived in Moscow, Idaho. They had been brutally stabbed to death. The victims are identified as Ethan, 20, of Conway, Washington; Madison, 21, of Cordeline, Idaho; Xana, 20, of Avondale, Arizona. That wasn't far. I lived in Glendale, Arizona before I moved to California. Avondale isn't far. And Kylie, 21, of Rotherham, Idaho. The off-campus residence where four students were found. Okay, we got that. So this is November 13th. Remember, they said 11:58 in the morning. 2 days later, November 15th, 2022, the murder weapon. The Moscow Police Department issues a statement saying an edged weapon, such as a knife, was used in the killings. No murder weapon has been found. All right, so we don't have a weapon 2 days later. On November 16th, 3 days after the murders, the Moscow police held their first press conference. Police Chief James Fry says the killings of the four University of Idaho students was a targeted attack. What's up, Tracy? So on the third day doing this, they said it was a targeted attack. We do not have a suspect at the time and that the individual is still out there. The next day, 4 days out, the county's coroner's office reports that the victims were likely asleep when they were stabbed with a large knife. Some even had defensive wounds, meaning they fought back. Okay. 5 days later, November 18th, 2022, tracing the victim's final steps. So we get a map of where everybody was. At November 12th, going into the morning of the 13th, from 10 to 1:30, Kylie and Maddie, they were at a corner club, 202 North Main Street. From there, the next morning, 10 minutes later, I apologize, November 13th, 10 minutes later, Kaylee and Maddie, they're at a grub truck at 318 South Main Street. At 5 minutes after this, Kaylee and Maddie, they go to the resident. So they leave the club at 1:30, they go get food 10 minutes, and from there, 5 minutes later, they end up at their house. All right. while this is going on for them, the club, food, and then the house, Ethan is and Xana attend a Sigma Shy party on 735 Nez Perce Drive. At 1:45 in the morning, they enter at the residence. So everyone arrives home at about the same time, 1:45 in the morning. And the residence is 1122 King Road, Moscow, Idaho. Well, you know where we gotta go to. Corner Club, 202 North Main Street. So this is the Corner Club. All right, so they're at the Corner Club. Then from the Corner Club, they go to 318 South Main Street. And they said this is roughly 10 minutes. 318 South Main. 318 South Main. All right, so it's a 2-minute drive over there. They may have been outside talking, doing whatever teenagers do or early 20s do after the club. They get here about 10 minutes. And then from there, they get to the resident in 5 minutes. So, how far is the house away at a destination? The house is 1122 King Road, Moscow. All right. So they say it's about 5 minutes to get to the house. It says it's about 8 minutes here. So, all right, that's work. So we started here, Corner Club. We went around, came down and got something to eat. Then we came to the crib. Now, while they came to the crib, oh shit, I done messed up. 1122 King Road, Moscow. Now, mind you, this is where the house is here. Ethan, they're over at a Sigma Shy Club at 735 Nez Pierce Drive, which is literally right on the next street over. So they may have walked over here. So they come to the house at 1:45. They meet up with Kaylee and Madison at 1:45 in the morning at the apartment. All right. 1:45, 1:45. Police released an aerial map showing the times and locations where the victims were on the night of November 12th, 2022, and early hours of November 13th. Kaylee and Madison were on the Corner Club between 10 and 1:30, headed to the food truck at 1:40. Ethan and Xana attended the Sigma Shy party between 8 and 9 p.m. and were home at 1:45. November 19th, 6 days after the murders, the hunt for a suspect. Investigators say they do not believe the driver who brought the two victims, Kaylee and Madison, home on the night of the murders were not involved. They had something set up where you could go through the actual crime scene photos. I'm gonna get to that. I just want to go through the timeline for those that haven't heard about it because I don't know the whole story, and I definitely want to see what was going on at that time. We're gonna get to any of the footage that they have on Law and Crime. We're just gonna knock out this timeline. But at least we know we got it mapped out. So we got the official map from Google Maps that gives us all the information. But it has me wondering, was somebody following them or watching them at the Corner Club? And the other two were just in the wrong place at the wrong time. You see what I'm saying? They said the person that dropped Kaylee and Madison off, they were not involved in the crime. 7 days later, others cleared. Detectives say they do not believe the surviving roommates or friends visiting the house at the time of the murders are involved. I wonder how many people were at the house. November 22nd, 2022. This is what? 9 days later. Investigators look intensely at the information received about one of the victims, Kaylee, having a stalker. They have not been able to verify or identify the stalker. So that all right. So he was a stalker allegedly. You said you was thinking somebody was watching him at the food truck. See, now that wouldn't be wrong. In my mind, how I'm visualizing it, maybe they were at the bar. The dude, if she said that she had a, saying a stalker for some time, he may have been watching at the bar from a distance, followed them to the truck, and then followed them to the house. We're gonna get to the bottom of this though. But it's some creepy stuff. November 25th, 2022, 12 days later, physical evidence. To this date, investigators collected 113 pieces of physical evidence and sent it to the Idaho State Police Department, their crime lab. Idaho Governor Brad Little has directed up to 1 million in funds for the ongoing investigation. 17 days later, November 30th, 2022, the vigil for the students, the University of Idaho, they hold a vigil in honor of the murdered students. The most important message that we have for you and your families is to spend as much time as possible with those. Stacy Chapin, the mother of victim Ethan, tells those who gathered. Here we go. Now we're getting into the case. December 7th, 2022. I don't know how many days this is. How many days are in November? 24 days later. Police announced they are interested in speaking with the driver of a white 2011-13 Hyundai Elantra, spotted near the crime scene at the time of the murders. At a later date, the search was expanded to include Elantras from 11 to 16. So initially, oh, here goes the body cam footage right here. All right. We're going to get that. So they're searching cars between 11 and 13, but extending it from 11 to 16. December 15, 2022, a traffic stop. A trooper's body cam catches a white Hyundai Elantra being stopped twice in Indiana for driving violations. The driver is 28-year-old Bryan Kohberger, who is accompanied by his father. They were driving home from Washington State University for winter break to his family's home in Pennsylvania. So Washington State, let me see. Corner Club. Directions. How close are these two together? Okay, all right. So Washington State is only 15 minutes from the town that they lived in. Washington State, here's the border, Washington, Idaho. It's only a 15-minute drive. Oh. And in order to get to Pennsylvania, you got to go through. Okay, now we're seeing what we're on. I was wondering. All right, cool. So they're gonna probably get on the 90, follow the 90 all the way across to get to Pennsylvania. So it's only a 15-minute drive from his school across the border to Idaho. Body cam shows Idaho murder suspects and his dad being pulled over weeks before arrest. Where's the body cam footage? Oh, And they want me to turn off my blocker. No, sir. No, sir. Damn. It's crazy, man. Crazy times that we're living in.
Recording.
Hello.
How you doing?
How y'all doing today? Good, good. Take
Oh, here we
your
go.
driver's license real quick if I could.
Recording.
Hello.
How you doing?
How y'all doing today? Good, good. Take a look at your driver's license real quick if I could. See, he's right up on that van, man. He was right up on the back end of that van. Pulled you over for tailgating. Is this your car? Okay. Cool. Where are you headed?
Well, we're coming from WSU, and we're scanning early.
What's WSU?
Yeah, I go to the university basically. That is SWAT team area.
So we're okay. I'm having a hard time hearing you because of the traffic. So you're coming from Washington State University, and you're going where? Oh,
We're going to be going to Pennsylvania.
oh, okay.
Yeah. So we're slightly punchy because we're driving for hours.
Hours, days.
Hours we're driving. Well,
Yeah.
almost a day.
Okay. And what did you say about some SWAT team thing? Or
Yeah, there was a mass shooting and everything. We don't know if it was a mass
Where?
This was happening
Interesting.
Man, we can't hear a damn thing, man.
Mm-hmm. So y'all work at the university there?
I actually do work there.
Oh,
PhD.
okay.
So it sounds like they said they were driving from Washington State University. They headed to Pennsylvania. They said that there was a mass shooting at WSU, which happened December 15th, the day that they got pulled over. Suspect shot and killed in SWAT near WSU campus. I remember hearing about that. So he got pulled over the day that this happened. 3 days later, so we're about 27 days in. No, we over a month now. 35 days. 35 days later, December 18, 2022, footage is released. Surveillance of footage emerges as victims Kaylee and Madison Mogan, hours before the killings, walking through downtown discussing a man named Adam. He is not considered a suspect. So they got them walking downtown. December 20th, 2022, the search for vehicle of interest. Investigators speak to an owner of a Hyundai Elantra located in Eugene, Oregon. The vehicle was involved in a collision and was impounded. The owner is believed to not have any connection to Moscow, Idaho. On Friday, December 30th, there was an arrest. Police announced Bryan Kohberger's arrest in Albrightsville, Pennsylvania, for the murders of University of Idaho students. He is being charged with burglary and 4 counts of first-degree murder. Kohberger was a PhD student at Washington State University, which is located roughly 8 miles from the murder scene in Moscow, Idaho. Law enforcement say that they were able to use forensic analysis to connect Kohberger to the crime scene. January 3rd, 2023, extradition hearing, basically to get him out of Pennsylvania, send him back to Idaho. At the hearing in Pennsylvania, Kohberger waives his extradition to Moscow, Idaho. He arrives the next day. They had him on the plane, chained up. Bryan Kohberger is brought to Idaho. The judge issues a gag order, which prohibits officials and others involved in the case from speaking about it. January 5th, court documents released. Public officials released an affidavit in the case against Bryan Kohberger. Among the findings, a witness claims she saw a figure of 5'10" or taller, a male, not very muscular, dressed in black clothing and a mask on the night of the murder. She said the masked figure walked towards the backsliding glass door and she locked herself in the room. So she seen someone 5'10" or taller, not very muscular. She said the masked figure walked toward the backsliding glass door and she locked herself in the room. Was she a witness in the house, or she was a witness like a neighboring witness? 'Cause she seen him walk towards the sliding door. And then she locked herself in the room. Damn. That's some scary stuff right there. You never know who you're walking by. The DNA found on the button snap of a leather knife at the crime scene appears to be a strong match with the DNA found in the trash at Kohberger's family residence in Albrightsville, Pennsylvania. Hmm. We'll get all right. So we got the DNA. The DNA was found. Let's see what was found on the DNA. Hey man, come on, CBS. Not today, man. We're in the middle of something serious, CBS. Well, we won't get that DNA. We'll find it out another way. But investigators believe the homicides occurred between 4 a.m. and 4:25 a.m. Kohberger applied for an internship with the Pullman Police Department, and in his application essay, he said he had an interest in assisting in rural law enforcement agencies with how to better collect and analyze I can't even say it today. Technological. There you go. Technological data. My bad, y'all. My bad, man. Investigators checked the movements of Kohberger's phone, and it stops reporting a signal at 2:47 a.m. and appears to turn back on at 4:48 a.m. Now, they said these homicides occurred between 4 and 4:25 a.m. The phone went off at 2:45 a.m., turned back on roughly 20 minutes after the murders. Damn. Nah, I ain't got no simpler today, man. I just could, man, the technology. I can't even get it, man. I can't even say technology. I can't even say it right today, bro. We got it once, man. But anyway, he wanted to analyze all the technological data. There you go. There you go. Damn. But they said the phone went off at 2:45 a.m., came back on at 4:48 a.m., roughly 20 minutes after the murders. But we see in his application to better collect the data. So he knew to turn the phone off because this is what he's been studying on, and he said he had a huge interest, in collecting this data. Yeah, Tamika, sometimes it gets you, and it's easy too. It's right there too. Technological. You know, if I just slow down, but shit, I'm trying to read. I'm trying to get to the good parts. RIP to these four, though. You know, there's no good parts about this. I'm just saying, as far as our investigative side, because now the story, we started to get into the meat and potatoes. So the phone was off for roughly 2 hours, which could have been when she said she saw a figure. All right, so this could be in between that time. They got home at 1:45. So if the witness seen them going to the black sliding door, walk towards the black sliding door, she locked herself in a room. So this has to be around 3:50, 4 o'clock almost, when she noticed them. January 12th, 2023, Kohberger appears in court. A preliminary hearing for Bryan Kohberger was set for June 26th. He waived his rights to a speedy preliminary hearing, with his defense team asking the court for time to prepare for the case. Sometimes doing a speedy trial is a good thing. If you don't believe that they have enough information or evidence, witnesses, you kind of want to do a speedy trial because that is your legal right. So this means just hurry it up, get it in court so you can get out of there. And hopefully the prosecutors don't have enough information to convict you so that the jurors won't hear it. But in the event that you're probably guilty and you need to come up with a defense, he's waiving this speedy hearing because he don't want to hurry up and go in there because they might not be prepared to cover this. Typically, when you see this is a serious ass case. 4 murders, probably 4 life sentences. I don't even know if they have the death penalty in Idaho. I doubt it. But 4 life sentences, you want to try your best because at this point, now I'm not, listen to me, I'm not defending Bryan or anything. I'm just saying, as far as legally, he's going to be fighting for his life. So you don't want to have a speedy trial. You want to make sure that you're prepared for this case. May 5th, 2023, Kohberger stopped by police a month before killings. Newly released body camera video shows Bryan Kohberger being pulled over for allegedly running a red light a month before the killings. The video shows campus police at Washington State University stopping Kohberger on October 14th in Pullman. The Idaho Statesman reported. The officer eventually lets him go with a warning. So Bryan Kohberger speeding.
Hello, I am Officer Loangus. Stops being audio and video recorded. I think you know why I stopped you. You ran the red light.
What actually happened was I was stuck in the middle of the intersection.
Yeah,
so
I was
forced
behind
to
you the
turn
whole
left.
time. Yeah.
Yeah.
So technically, you're not supposed to enter the intersection at all for that reason, because if the light turns red, then you're stuck in the intersection, and then you run the red light. So that's the reason I stopped you. Do you have your license on you?
Yep.
Do you have the registration and insurance?
Let me just get this for you out.
You what?
I'm just gonna get this out for you.
Okay.
So this is 30 days prior to the murder. The murders.
So would you explain that to me a little bit further? So in Pennsylvania, when you're stuck like in the intersection, you have to make the left. So what would the appropriate thing for me to have done? Just
You're
back up
not
in
supposed
that
to
situation?
block an intersection like that in Washington. So just by you blocking the intersection, that's technically a ticketable violation. And then then you're running a red light. So it's another ticketable offense. So you're not supposed to proceed into the intersection.
Oh, that's something I never knew in Washington. I only went to Washington for a day. I flew into Seattle and then we drove down to Portland. So they're saying At a green light, you can't pull into the intersection to turn. You got to wait at the line until it's clear for you to turn. So if you enter into the intersection in Washington, that is an ticketable offense. And if you turn on red or like yellow before it's turning red, since you're already stuck out, oh, okay. I did not know that. So if you go to Washington, remember, stay at the light. Don't pull out into the light just because it's green, because you're blocking the intersection. And that makes sense because if emergency vehicles come through, they going through those lights. You can't be okay, Washington. I see what y'all doing here. Good move. Sounds safe.
Until you can go, because a lot of people do what you just did, right? Is like you're sitting in the intersection waiting, and then turns, and then you're blocking. So
Yeah, there was a little bit of confusion with speeding because someone had stopped. I wasn't sure if they were doing it, and then they put on their light to turn. So I thought that maybe they were letting me go through.
Oh
Did you see that?
no.
I feel like right before I made the turn, there was someone who made a right. They didn't have their their signal on, so I wasn't sure if they were just waiting.
Yeah, so I would just advise just don't enter the intersection until you can go, so you don't get stuck. Let's see.
But in that situation, the best thing to do then would be back up. And not.
I don't know if there's a best thing to do in that situation because you're either going to back up into somebody or you're going to run a red light. So, or you're going to be sitting in an intersection.
Yeah, Tamika, out here in Missouri, California, man, that mug turned green. You gotta pull. If you don't pull out into the intersection when the light turns green, you're never gonna get a chance to turn. You gotta pull out there so you can get prepared. Because trying to start off where you park there behind the light and drive through there and make a left before the next cars come, you're not making that. You're gonna have to wait 3 or 4 lights. In Washington, don't do it. You're blocking the intersection. I'm gonna say, man, everywhere I live, man, you pull out. When it turn green, you pull up. You don't go, you don't speed. Just pull up, ease off the brakes a little bit, let the car roll forward. And then once you see a little gap, maybe I say wait to a 3-car gap. But if you meet, you can wait to a 1.5-car gap. You know what I mean? But don't do that. That's too risky. You gotta. I shouldn't even be telling y'all that. Let's get focused. Let's get back focused. Wait till there's a 3-car gap, 2 maybe.
There's not really a great option there.
Yeah, I was just slightly into the crosswalk, so where I'm from Pennsylvania, we actually don't have like crosswalks.
Oh,
so even if you're kind of slightly, there's a little bit more leeway as well. Like there are a few lines, like there's one white line and there's another one in front. Like there's like a certain margin from which you can actually kind of put your vehicle, place your vehicle.
Yeah, so I know laws vary state to state, but there is a law in Washington for blocking an intersection like that, proceeding through when you don't, when you're just stalling. I forget the actual verbiage. I can find it for you, but it's like stalling, blocking an intersection.
Yeah, I'm just curious about the law. I don't mean to.
Oh no, I can find it for you. Yeah.
Yeah, please find it.
1 second.
Because I think she might be interpreting the law wrong. Because there's no way you're sitting at the light waiting to make a left turn when you got to pull in. Like, just say it's 2 lanes on each side. Like, come on, man, that you're not gonna make it across. I don't think she got the verbiage right. I don't know. We could be wrong, but this is a wild. Is this in Idaho or is this in Washington? I think it's in Washington.
Good on a Hyundai. I don't see Pennsylvania registration like at all. Okay, let's see. Expires November 22nd, or 2022. Okay. And
yeah, one of those is actually.
Yeah, okay, that looks good. I'll hand that back to you. I'm just going to go check your info. I'll try to find that RCW, the law for you, and I'll be right back.
Thank you.
All right.
Man, they follow them all the way on the campus like this. They on Washington State. I seen the cat's head on the wall.
Sierra 331, code 4 driver. Last of Kohberger, King, Ocean, Henry, Boy, Edward, Robert, George, Edward, Robert. First of Brian, Boy, Robert, Young, Adam, Nora. Middle C, Charles, date of birth 112194, Mount Washington.
Hey, if you on the rover with me, slow that shit down. You was trying to spell out his name using the motherfucking Kilo, Otter, Hausenberger, Barracks. Like, hey, slow down, bro. Slow down, man. I can't spell this man's name regular. Slow down. Where's it at? Yeah, where's it at? It sounds like you made this law up. Where's it at? Failed to signal, unsafe lane change, a prohibited U-turn, wrong lane. Where it at? Where it at? I don't see it. It would be over here. These are moving violations over here. Where it at? Defective reflectors, defective brake lights. Where is it at?
Go ahead.
I'm not seeing it either, Eric. I see no headlights after dark.
Copy. It should be an Elantra. Received.
Copy. It might be. It actually says the dam. That's my bad.
Where's the law at?
Here, 334 stopping. 334. King 568889 through Idaho.
Man, that ain't no law, bro. She made that up. It can't be no law. Now I know running a red light, yeah, but come on, man. Idling or blocking the intersection, it can't be that. It's got to be something else. This is why I always tell y'all, know your rights. Even if it's a speeding ticket, get you a lawyer so they can look over this. Look over that ticket. You might just be getting a ticket for something that ain't even a ticket. Idling in the damn, what's the name? She ain't even got the damn information. The intersection. If she was really doing her job, then she could have potentially got a murderer off the streets. But she don't know what the fuck she doing, making up laws and shit. Trying to Google some stuff. No, I thought it was supposed to be on this paper. That's why you have to make sure the police are doing what the police are supposed to do, because we're paying the police. They humans too. But I didn't see her pinpoint nothing on here. Where's it at? I want to see the violation. Not off of Google, on your piece of paper.
Okay, so I found it. So I don't know what in Pennsylvania where you go to find laws, but in Washington it's called the Revised Code of Washington. So I'll try to turn my brightness up, but it's basically it's just called an RCW. So it's RCW 46.61.
RCW 46.
Basically, it's just called an RCW, so it's RCW 46.61.
.61. Failure to obey. Is she gonna give us another .61 what?
.202, so it's no
202. I'm on here too. Oh, let me see. 202. RCW 4661-202. Stopping when traffic is obstructed. Now, let's look and see what the actual details are. No driver shall enter an intersection or a marked crosswalk or drive onto any railroad grade crossing unless there is sufficient space on the other side of the intersection, crosswalk, or railroad grade crossing to accommodate the vehicle he or she is operating without obstructing the passage of other vehicles, pedestrians, or railroad trains, notwithstanding any traffic control signal indications to proceed. Now, yes, it says do not enter into the intersection. But the law says without obstructing the passage of other vehicles. So as long as the light isn't red, you can stay out there because you're not obstructing any other vehicles. You see what I'm saying? As long as the light isn't red, because once the light turns red, you're obstructing the vehicles that are going to be going across when the light changes. So you can be out there according to the law. According to the law, you can be out there. You can't be out there when it's red. You know, we sit out there a little bit. Not me, I ain't incriminating myself. Not me, but you know y'all be out there a little bit. The light be yellow. You sitting out there waiting. The car come by. It's red. I'm already out here. What you want me to do? I got to turn. Now that right there, in accordance with RCW 46.61.202, is illegal. But you can pull out there. You can take this to court and fight that. You can take that to court and fight it. I just wanted to hear what this law was. All right, so it is a thing out there, but she didn't state it right. She was talking about being idle. But he's not out there stopping like he's idle at a stoplight. He's waiting to turn. But now if the light turns red, then okay, you get the red light and you get the obstruction. All right, cool. At least now we know.
Driver shall enter an intersection unless there is significant space on the other side of the intersection to accommodate the vehicle he is operating without obstructing the passage of other vehicles.
You see how they skipping over everything? She didn't read the whole goddamn RCW 4660-202.
Vehicles despite any traffic control signal indications to proceed. So you had a green light, so you're thinking you can go, but you're blocking the intersection. Yeah. So that's if you're ever curious in any laws in Washington, just Revised Code of Washington. So I'm not writing a ticket or anything like that today. I understand.
Because you can't write him a ticket. Because if you did, that means he would have had to been speeding and ran the red light. But since he was actually out there and not blocking traffic, you can't get him a ticket because you just read him what the law was. If he would have read the red light, you would have gave him a ticket for the red light and the RCW 4660-202. But you couldn't because I know he's a murderer, but I'm just saying, as far as the law, you got to police the police. You see what she just did. She pulled him over on some trumped up charges, but then we realized that, damn, according to the law, the nigga was technically right. Even though this dude is a murderer, he was technically right at this time. But if she was doing her job and just not pulling motherfuckers over, we would have been able to see that something was suspicious off of this. Hey, man, we don't care about all that Pennsylvania shit. You in Washington. What you do in Pennsylvania ain't what you do up here in Washington. That's why I always tell y'all, man, get a lawyer, man. You can't trust these fools. There's some good cops out there, but look, we just read the law ourselves. And she even read it and she tried to skip over a whole sentence. We just read the whole thing and broke it down.
And you're from Pennsylvania, but in the future, don't proceed through the intersection. You can't get stopped for that alone unless you can clearly just clear it right away. Okay. So
that basically, I understand.
You're just supposed to wait behind the white line. Drivers do it all the time, but
it never even occurred to me that was actually something wrong. Well, except for the fact that I was blocking the crosswalk, which is what I went through.
And states vary a lot from laws. Like Pennsylvania might not even have that law, but in Washington we do.
I'm actually just from a very rural area, so
exactly to me.
Unless I visit an area where there are crosswalks, and then it's not very frequent.
Yeah.
I do apologize if I was asking you too many questions about the law. I wasn't trying to like.
No, not at all. Like, I understand you're not from here, so if you don't, a lot of people don't know a bunch of laws. Like, I only know it because this is what I do. But yeah, if you're ever curious on any more laws, just RCW, and they can be hard to read because it's in like legal language. But
if you read them motherfuckers, then we can clearly read them motherfuckers. If you can read them, we can read them. It's in the language that we can understand. It's not legal jargon. That's why they probably got the RCW to try to make it clear and cut out for people. Talking about it as a legal jargon, man.
Hope that helps.
Definitely.
Yeah. Have a good day.
Definitely, you too.
Thanks.
And to think, if she would have just followed the law, man, we could have potentially got a murderer off the streets, man. Sometimes it's really that close, man. Because here it says he was pulled over for allegedly running a red light, but she never brought up the red light. She was only talking about the intersection. So which is it? Which is it? Is it the running the red light or the obstructing the intersection? You see what I'm saying? She initially pulled him over for one thing and started talking about a whole nother thing to only be like, well, forget it. Get out of here. Gotta police the police. But okay, we've seen that for allegedly running a red light about a month before the killings. The video shows campus police at Washington State University stopping him. The officer lets him go with a warning. May 17th, Kohberger is indicted. A grand jury indicted him on 4 counts of first-degree murder and felony burglary for his alleged involvement in the killings, the same 4 murder charges he was already facing. Judge enters not guilty pleas on Kohberger's behalf. At his arraignment, the judge entered a not guilty plea. After Kohberger did not respond in court when the judge asked him how would he plead. Damn, so he just wasn't talking in court? A DNA sample taken from Bryan revealed a near exact match to the DNA found on the 9th sheath at the scene of the quadruple murder in Idaho last November. According to new court documents, DNA found on the sheath was initially compared to DNA from trash recovered outside the Kohberger's family in Albrightsville, Pennsylvania last year. A cheek swab taken from Kohberger allowed for another DNA, which was a more DNA comparison. So they got the DNA from the knife sheath, where you hold the knife at. They got the DNA from there. They got the DNA from trash at the family's home. And then they did a cheek swab. Pause. Prosecutors to pursue the death penalty in June of 23 this year. Prosecutors have decided to pursue the death penalty for Bryan, the man accused of murdering the 4 in November. August 3rd. What? They said he had an alibi. August 3rd of this year, alibi claim revealed. Attorneys for Bryan claimed he was going for a routine drive when the killings took place, according to new court filings. On August 3rd, Kohberger's attorneys objected to the state's request for an alibi of his whereabouts on the nights of the murders. In the documents, his attorneys claim Mr. Kohberger has long had a habit of going on drives alone, and that he did so on the night and the morning of the brutal killings. Kohberger's attorney said in the document that witnesses may be able to testify he wasn't at the scene of the crime. State law requires defendants to declare if they will present an alibi. I'm just saying, this would have been something that you would think would come up at in the beginning. Like, as soon as they arrested him, his lawyer should have came out and said, we got an alibi or something for it. I was just surprised that it happened this late. You would think for a murder, that'd be the first thing you say. The first thing that comes out of your lawyer's mouth is, you know what I'm saying? My client is innocent. We can prove these charges are fake. We have an alibi. We have people that can testify. You want to get that out in the beginning to make your Well, as far as the public opinion goes, you want your damn client to seem as innocent as possible. I was just shocked that it took this long for a quadruple murder. Unless they probably just waiting to release it. All right, we'll see. Let's see where we at. Oh yeah, they did have that gag order. Damn, you right. That's on me. That's on me. I'm still worked up about the damn Washington State Police. Well, never mind. They were just security on campus. So, August 18, 2023, defense questions validity of night shift DNA. A court hearing for Bryan, his defense questioned the validity of the DNA found on the knife at the crime scene that authorities allege connected him to 4 murders. Defense attorneys demanded more information from prosecutors on the DNA. Prosecutors countered Prosecutors countered that they have handed over what they have. The judge denied a request by Kohberger's defense to delay the trial, which remains slated to begin as scheduled in August. Not August, October. So the trial is actually going on. Well, they're starting stuff right now. You'll see them back and forth through court. Uh, August 23rd, they had a trial postponed. Bryan's trial will not happen on the scheduled October 2nd. He waived his right to a speedy trial during an appearance. His attorney, Ann Taylor, spoke on his behalf and said she may not be ready for trial by October. Has said he intends to seek the death penalty for Bryan. During the court appearance, Taylor said her team will file a motion to strike the death penalty and will file another motion seeking to ban cameras from the courtroom. Why everybody want the courtroom not to have cameras? We, the people, need to know what's going on. We, the people, need to know what's going on. All right, we're gonna see what the lawyer's about. We're gonna see how good she gonna be, and then we'll go into some of the long crime stuff because there's more footage that just been dropping. They've been releasing stuff slowly but surely. Who was Ann Taylor, Bryan Kohberger's attorney, allegedly represented the parent of one Idaho murder victim. What? She's a licensed American lawyer who primarily practiced as chief of the Cowichan County Public Defender's Office, is representing murder suspect. So wait, she's a public defender, or is she just like the top lawyer at the public defender's office? You know what I mean? Her grandpa said, "Check my Rumble chat." Hold on. My bad, Rumble. Let me see what y'all got over there. Oh shoot, we got about 37 people over here. What up, Gramps? Hold on, y'all. I'm over on good evening, Gramps. Well, I don't even know what I'm looking for over here, man. Y'all done chatting it up though. What up? So hey, put what y'all want me to do over here on Rumble. Hey everyone, glad to see you made it. Who the hell is this grandpa guy? Real WH grandpa. Let me see. What's going on, man? What's going on? My bad. I was just reading through the article. Oh, you brought your friends? All right, bet. Hey, man, thank y'all. If y'all can hit that follow button, I'll be breaking down cases. Right now, we're just going over this. We got the timeline. My bad, Rumble. I apologize. I didn't have the damn chat up. I didn't really have too many followers over there, but I see it's about 30 of y'all, 40 in there. Oh, I've been rated. Hey, I'm new to Rumble, so hey, thank y'all for that. You know what I mean? Thanks. That's just the way I talk, Rumble. Grandpa. I wasn't talking no shit. I was just saying, who the hell is Grandpa talking about check Rumble? All right, thank you for that. But yeah, we're going through the timeline. We'll find out who his lawyer is actually. So Ann Taylor, I don't know if she's at the public defender's office, like she's a public defender, or she's the main lawyer. You know what I mean? Is she like the top lawyer over at the public defenders? But she's representing the murder suspect, Bryan Kohberger, accused of murdering 4 University of Idaho students on November 13th, 2022. Taylor's conduct while representing the murder suspect has now come into question after reports surfaced stating that Bryan Kohberger's defense attorney previously represented the mother of slain student Zaina Cornudo. So she previously represented. I wonder, wait, did she represent on the murder or did she represent the mother in a different case? Because that would be conflict of interest. So that would pull Ann Taylor off of here. Damn. Now I got to figure, hey, for real, Eric, we over here working. We got to find out when did she represent her not her murder, her mother, and what case was that on? So we got to remember, we're going to find her name, but her conduct, blah, 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 blah. Multiple reports citing documents filed on January 5th, 2023 revealed that the public defender and Taylor representing Cornudo's mother concerning a misdemeanor charge and 2 felony charges. Oh, okay. All we had to do was read a little bit more. So she represented one of the murder victims' mother previously. So now if you're defending the guy that allegedly murdered her daughter, yeah, you really can't do that. The document has reportedly filed by the public defender to withdraw her representation of the victim's mother, as it would lead to a conflict of interest while defending the suspect accused of the crime. Can't understand how a conflict of interest didn't exist when AT, that's the attorney, took the case, and with the public defender's office, when their office represented the client associated with a case, they could not accept the client. Have never ever seen a conflict of interest look like this overlooked by a court. Yeah, I mean that's kind of something you would look into if the name aligns with anything that they've already done. Now you definitely got to look into it. So, all right, they got Ann off of the case. Damn. All right. So Ann, they trying to get her off the case. All right, here we go. Now here's the story that they're saying. So we got the timeline. We're going to go into the story, and then we'll bring up the law and crime stuff. Prosecutors alleged that the early morning hours of November 13th, 2022, Kohberger, a criminology PhD student at the nearby Washington State University, broke into an off-campus home and stabbed the 4 students to death. After a 6-week hunt, police zeroed in on Kohberger's as a suspect arrested him on December 30th at his family's home in Pennsylvania. He was indicted in May and charged with 4 counts of first-degree murder and 1 count of burglary. At his arraignment, he declined to offer a plea. The judge entered him into the non-guilty plea. So basically, the judge still has to do what's right by the law. Hey, man, you need to defend yourself in this case because, the judge isn't biased. The judge just goes off the rules. And they're like, hey, man, you got to at least put up a fight. We're not just going to put you into guilty. So a trial in the capital murder case has been set for October 2nd, though that date has been delayed. We just read that in the other article. Investigators say that they relied in part of records from a cell phone towers and on surveillance video of a car seen in the area of King Road House on the night of the killings. Now, I wonder do they have the footage of that so we can see if there's a car. According to a police affidavit, early in the morning hours of November 13th, Kohberger's phone pinged near where he lived in Pullman, Washington, then pinged southeast of Kohberger's residence, which affidavit said was consistent with the phone leaving his home and traveling south through Pullman, Washington, possibly towards Moscow. Now, we know that he's in criminology school. Has he been staging this for a while to make it seem like, hey, my phone pings like that all the time? I've been doing this over a long period because he knows that this could hold up in the court. You know what I mean? That's kind of like, that's building his alibi. Hey, man, I've done this consistently over the last month, 2 months. He's been planning it out. Remember, he also applied to work at the police force. He wanted to analyze any technological data that comes from phones. Oh, man. Damn. Yeah, Eric, what if this dude is playing the game Whereas, let me see what I can get away with. All right. So possibly towards Moscow, Idaho. Just a few miles away, but a few minutes later, the phone stops reporting to the network for about 2 hours, which is consistent with Kohberger attempting to conceal his location during the quadruple homicide, according to the affidavit. The affidavit said the phone records indicated Kohberger returned to the area of King Road's house where the 4 students were slain the morning after the murders. His phone was near the victim's house on at least 12 occasions before the murders and as far back as August, according to the affidavit. Oh, that's what I'm saying. He did this several times over and over to make it look like, oh, this is the norm for me. Damn. Mm-mm-mm. Ain't that something, boy? We watching it. You think this stuff only happens in movies, man? Look at this. All of these occasions, except for one, occurred in the late evening and early morning hours of their respective days, the affidavit said. All of these occasions, except for one. So they said 12 times, 11 times it was during the daytime, and these 2 times it was at night. But I wonder if any of the phones ever went off. You know what I mean? I wonder if any of the phones, did they ever turn off for 2 hours while he was going to do this? Or they said he riding around? Let's see what videos Long Crime has up. Make sure y'all hit that like button for me. You know what I'm saying? If you're over on Rumble, hit that follow. YouTube, hit that subscribe button for me. We're going to see what they got over here on the Long Crime on it.
For the first time, we're hearing an alibi from alleged murderer Bryan Kohberger, the man accused of killing 4
What's
college
up, Rumble?
students
Thank
last
y'all for
November.
tuning in. Thanks for the
Kohberger
raid,
now
Grandpa.
says
Thanks for
he
the
was
raid,
all
Grandpa.
alone the night of the murders, going for a late-night drive. With an alibi like that, experts say Kohberger himself may have to take the stand.
I think Kohberger has to testify to get the information exactly the way they wanted in this motion.
28-year-old Kohberger is charged in the quadruple murder that shocked the nation, when 4 University of Idaho students were found stabbed to death in their off-campus home on November 13th of last year. Investigators used DNA recovered from a knife sheath left at the crime scene to connect Kohberger to the case. In late December, he was arrested at his parents' home in Pennsylvania.
Detectives arrested 28-year-old Bryan Christopher Kohberger in Albrightsville, Pennsylvania, on a warrant for murders of Ethan, Zana, Madison, and Kaylee.
Surviving roommates of the victims later admitted to seeing a suspect in their home the night of the murders, describing the figure as, quote, 5'10" or taller, male, not very muscular, but athletically built with bushy.
So that lady's statement was that he was in the house and she locked herself in the door. See, I thought she was saying she seen someone outside walking toward the black sliding door. So they seen him in the house? Ooh, wow. That I did not know that. Is the court case available? They're not in court right now. All of this is preliminary hearings. So right now they're just showing up. They're trying to get things together. They were supposed to start October 2nd. And the defense, they don't want cameras in there, but I'm sure it's probably gonna be cameras in there just because of how big this case is. But they said there's gonna possibly be a delay, so it probably won't happen until maybe November or something. Because we don't even know if they're gonna get old girl off, Ann Taylor, off of being the prosecutor yet. So right now, this is just the preliminary stages.
Bushy eyebrows. Prosecutors allege Kohberger matches that description. After his extradition to Latah County, Idaho, he was charged with all 4 murders.
Count 2 alleges that you committed the felony offense of murder in the first degree. It alleges that the defendant, Bryan C. Kohberger, on or about November 13th, 2022, in Latah County, state of Idaho, did willfully, unlawfully, deliberately, with premeditation, and with malice aforethought, kill and murder Madison Mogen, a human being, by stabbing Madison Mogen, from which she died.
This week, Kohberger's defense team unveiled his alibi, but it may have left more questions than answers.
What up,
The
Luke?
strange thing about this case, though, is Kohberger can't say specifically when and where he was at the time of the murders. He can only say that I was on one of these routine drives in a car. So it's kind of sort of an alibi, but kind of sort of not an alibi.
Law and Crime Network host and public defender Bryan Kohberger says it's common for prosecutors to request alibi information from the defense ahead of trial.
So in a lot of states, Idaho included, the defense is obligated to give what's called an alibi notice. It's if there is an alibi where a defendant can say, I was at this place and at this time when a crime occurred at this place and this time, and therefore it could not have been me, either through the defendant's own words, oftentimes corroborated with this witness, or this video can explain why I was not there.
On July 27th, Latah County prosecutors filed a motion to compel Kohberger's defense to provide the state with a notice of alibi. According to court documents, prosecutors were looking for a, quote, specific place or places at which the defendant claims to have been at the time of the burglary and homicides in the case, and the names and addresses of all witnesses upon whom the defendant intends to rely to establish such alibi.
They don't want to hear none of that. I was driving around all night. Where were you at? Where did you stop at? Who'd you talk to? Who seen you? All that driving around, he may have thought that this would be a good alibi, but this ain't gonna hold up. A jury hearing this, so you were just driving around and your phone just went off this night, huh? Damn, yeah, he's cooked. He's cooked. But I want to hear more of the evidence, but I believe he probably did this.
On August 2nd, Kohberger's defense filed an objection to the state's motion, shedding some light on what they say is his alibi. But according to Kohberger, some pieces are missing.
I would say it's like a three-legged chair. Like it's still a chair, but it's definitely missing like a very important piece to the point that it might wobble and fall apart. But you err on the side of, I'm the defense, I'm going to file this motion, because in some states they're very strict, and I think the defense hinted at this in their motion, that they do not want this information to be excluded because they did not present it within the statutory time that you're supposed to provide an alibi. So it's, again, it's kind of sort of is an alibi, but it doesn't have the specificity or that fourth leg of this is exactly where I was at this exact time and why I could not have committed this crime.
According to court documents, Kohberger, quote, has long had a habit of going for drives alone. The defense alleges that's what Kohberger was doing the night of the murders, but can't give much more information. The motion reads in part, quote, Mr. Kohberger is not claiming to be at a specific location at a specific time. At this time, there is not a specific witness to say precisely where Mr. Kohberger was at each moment of the hours between late night November 12th, 2022 and early morning November 13th, 2022.
And in my
Man, they're going to have to get that phone and they're going to have to check that last ping. If they know the phone went out, they need to see where the last ping was, where it went out, and then when it turned back on. Now, I know it's not going to give us anything because that was 2 hours in between. So he definitely could have turned it off further away and did what he did. But if they said they found DNA on the knife and they found it on the trash at his house in Pennsylvania, all the way from Idaho, then he made some mistakes while he was here. He ain't that smart. That's the only way that DNA got back there. He wasn't that smart.
In my mind, knowing the rules of evidence, at best, you can get someone up on the stand to say, yes, we looked at the cell phone history and there seems to be a habit of these late night drives to X and Y location. Some are to the university where the 4 victims are, some are to other locations, but to specifically say, you know why this person is doing this, that would be a speculation and that's an objection.
Buckmeyer explains having someone else testify about Kohberger's whereabouts could get tricky when it comes time for trial.
Even if, let's say hypothetically, my wife sees me every day drive and leave the house at 9 a.m. and come back at 5 p.m. and I tell her I'm at work, she would have to testify based on the words that I say, and that would be hearsay.
Though Kohberger's defense says there's no one who could corroborate his alibi right now, court documents show Kohberger, quote, indicated he anticipates corroborating witnesses. The motion continues saying, quote, corroboration of Bryan Kohberger not being at 1122 King may be brought out through cross-examination of the state's witnesses. At this time, Mr. Kohberger cannot be more specific about the possible witnesses and exactly what they will say. But Buckmeyer says Kohberger's testimony may be the best way to corroborate the claim.
How would someone even seeing Kohberger drive off know what and why he's doing these solo rides? Exactly. In my mind, I think Kohberger has to testify to get the information exactly the way they want it in this motion.
That being said, Buckmeyer says Kohberger's testimony isn't guaranteed.
And I think they're going to try their best to get this information in without Kohberger. But at best, in my mind, I think it'll be speculation. It'll again go back to experts saying his cell phone travels to and from locations at times that could not have been connected to this crime. But then the prosecution gets to come up and say, all right, maybe he's scouting other places. Maybe he's scouting where to dump bodies. Maybe he's scouting where to dump evidence. Maybe he's scouting to do whatever they can speculate at. And I think that pulls away from the defense's argument to say, hey, he's just a graduate student who needs some time to blow off steam and drive around. Because
yeah, man, this, what's it, Tarantino? She said, I wonder how many people he has murdered. This seems like he's done something like this before. For him to take this nightly route 12 times over a couple months, and then for these murders to happen up, the DNA at his house, he's done something. Or this is his, I don't know if I haven't heard of any stories where somebody's first time committing murders is like multiple bodies. Typically it's like one. So that's what makes you believe maybe it was multiple, or he's done this before, because it was 4 people plus people in the house. They said that one of the girls said that she had a stalker. Man, I really don't know. But one thing I can say is they're not going to let him take the stand. There's no way a defense lets their client take the stand in a murder trial unless they didn't do it. But even then, you don't want to put them up there, because once they start asking questions, if anything starts to change from what you said before, it's really going to incriminate yourself. That's why you typically see the defense not taking the stand, because they don't need to be cross-examined. But I doubt they're going to let him take the stand to explain what happened for those 2 hours. Because then if he gets up there and takes a stand, they can ask him, how would the DNA get back to your house in Pennsylvania with your parents? You see what I'm saying? It would just open up a lot of questioning.
Only one who can for sure say that, if these are solo rides, in my mind, would be Kohberger.
The defense's use of this alibi isn't guaranteed either.
Just because you give notice that there is an alibi, it doesn't mean that this is 100% what you're going to say at trial. The defense has every right, because again, it's the prosecution's burden to put on the case. They have no burden to put on any evidence. They could come up to trial and simply say, Your Honor, we gave you notice of this alibi, but the prosecution couldn't even prove their case. So there's no reason for us to put on a case. We have no burden, but you definitely want to give notice so you're not excluded from using it in the future.
A lengthy preliminary hearing in Kohberger's case was scheduled for June, but those court dates were scrapped when the prosecution moved forward with grand jury proceedings. Kohberger's defense referenced this in their newly filed court documents, writing, quote, the defense has been hampered by the state's own choices. The state chose a secret grand jury rather than the planned preliminary hearing. Had the state moved forward with the preliminary hearing, the defense would have had the opportunity to develop testimony through cross-examination and witness presentation.
The defense, I think, is making the appropriate argument that the prosecution pulled that away from them. If the prosecution never said how they were going to go about this case and never said we're going to go towards preliminary hearing, as we all assumed was going to happen, the defense wouldn't have this argument.
As Kohberger's trial date looms, Buckmeyer says there are two important allegations the defense must work to combat: Kohberger's DNA on the knife sheath and information from the victim's roommate about a suspect seen the night of the murders.
With a defense, especially a defense like this, if you are perceiving that you're going to win, which every defense attorney who takes on a case should have that mindset, it's going to be a victory through 1,000 blows. So you take it one piece at a time. You say, all right, here's my alibi or my client's alibi. He was somewhere else. Then the other issue is the DNA on the sheath. I think the other one will probably be the identification of these bushy eyebrows.
But Buckmeyer says this case isn't hopeless.
I've always made the point of, I think many of us have been to college. You go to, especially what would be considered the party house. And after that, you find this person's sweater and this person's shoe and this person's wallet. Things get left at the party house all the time. And sometimes they're there just because someone picks it up in the surrounding area, thinks it's cool, and leaves it in the party house. Maybe that's how that sheath got there. Maybe it does belong to Bryan Kohberger, but it wasn't brought there by him. Maybe they can attack the DNA to say the DNA wasn't collected properly, cross-contamination. It's not him because they didn't analyze it correctly, whatever it may be. But I think that's another very large mountain they've got to climb to try to bring reasonable doubt to this case.
A not guilty plea was entered on Kohberger's behalf. Last month, a Latah County judge granted a 37-day stay of court proceedings. Right now, his trial is set to begin tentatively on October 2nd. Ahead of that, though, he's due back in court on August 18th. Reporting for Long.
Here we go. This is the one that Eric.
The way the bed was set up is what
She was trapped.
She was trapped.
Trapped. That's how the mother of Idaho murder victim Kaylee Gonsalves describes how her daughter died in a new interview about the case, as prosecutors and defense attorneys asked to close an upcoming hearing to the public.
So this notion that the state and the defense can get together to keep cameras out is ill-founded. Let's just put it that way.
Thanks for joining us here on Law and Crime. I'm Anjanette Levy. Kaylee Gonsalves' parents have revealed new details they say they learned from the coroner about how their daughter died. Kaylee Gonsalves, her best friend, Maddie Mogan, their roommate, Xana Kernodle, and Kernodle's boyfriend, Ethan Chapin, were all stabbed to death in a house near the University of Idaho campus last November. The case has captured the attention of people around the world. Bryan Kohberger, a Washington State University PhD student, has pleaded not guilty to the murders. In an episode of 48 Hours, Kaylee Gonsalves' parents said the county coroner told them that Maddie Mogan was killed first. Kaylee was killed second. She was sleeping in the bed with her best friend.
Yeah, there's evidence to show that she awakened and tried to get out of that situation.
The new information comes as Bryan Kohberger is due back in court this week. His lawyers are asking Judge John Judge to dismiss the indictment. They claim the grand jurors were biased and that mistakes were made in the process. But mystery still surrounds some of the specific claims because the motion is sealed. Now the defense and the prosecution have filed paperwork agreeing to close the hearing to the public. But there's one problem with that, according to First Amendment lawyer Jack Greiner.
Well, I think that the idea that the defense and the state can get together and close a hearing just by their own agreement is just simply not the case. There are other stakeholders, there are other people with interest, including the families who is, from my reading, there's a desire that the cameras be in the courtroom by at least some families of the victims. The other stakeholder, obviously, is the public, and the public is represented by the media.
Greiner has argued on behalf of media outlets in courts for years. In fact, he was part of a coalition that included Law and Crime during a high-profile trial in Ohio last year. To close a courtroom, the Reporters Committee for Freedom of the Press says the judge must hold a hearing on the need for secrecy and allow the media and others to argue against closure. It's a rule from the U.S. Supreme Court. Closing courtrooms is rare in criminal cases.
It is a huge outlier, the idea of closing the courtroom entirely, that the public can't come in for any purpose, is separate and apart from having cameras in the courtroom, that there has to be a compelling need for the closure and that there are no less restrictive means. So it's up to the state and the defense, I guess, since they both want the hearing closed, to come up to articulate a compelling need for the closure. There's nothing in the stipulated motion that articulates a compelling need to close this proceeding, and there's certainly no suggestion of any less restrictive means. So the motion on its face is really defective, and if the court were to close this proceeding entirely without a hearing, that would be automatically subject to appellate review, that the media coalition, I'm sure, would go to the appellate level in Idaho and seek what would be a writ of mandamus to ensure that the court be open.
The media want to get in there. They don't give a damn what the defense
The
talking
issue
about.
of having cameras in the courtroom for the trial is a separate issue. Media outlets, including Law and Crime, have argued to keep cameras in the courtroom during the trial. Griner has argued on behalf of many media outlets many times to keep cameras in the courtroom.
Public ought to know about what's happening at a mass murder, a trial of an alleged mass murder, and the more the public knows, the better for everybody involved.
So from Washington State to where are they from? Albertsville. Damn, here. So it's a 37-hour drive. Oh, it ain't showing. But yeah, so it says 37-hour drive, a day and a half, almost 2 days total. You know, you're not about to drive all the way through that. But yeah, so him and his father were trying to drive out there. Let me see. They said he's out of control. Yeah, all of these they about an hour long, man. We don't have an hour. We knocked out an hour 30 on here. But if anything else happens, you know I'm gonna keep us updated on here. Thank you, Grandpa, over there on Rumble, for raiding my room or whatever it is. I mean, I don't know what it's called, but thank you for that. I appreciate y'all. I primarily just do any kind of recent cases like this. I'm gonna be doing more like I like the Law and Crime. I like getting the body cam footage. I like just breaking all of this stuff down, but we'll definitely keep up with this. They say this court date starts October 2nd. We don't know if they're going to be able to have cameras or not in there. It does sound like he did it. There's no way 37 hours, that knife, the DNA ended up back at the spot if you didn't have anything to do with it. You know what I mean? Story is interesting. CBS and Paramount Plus, they said they put out something on Saturday. They got, I forgot what it's called. Let me look it up real quick because I'm going to watch it when I get off of here. CBS Idaho Murders. Yeah, here you go. 48 hours on CBS. Let's see. The night of the Idaho murders. The family of Kaylee says that they have uncovered a connection between the suspect, their daughter, and Madison. 48 hours correspondent Peter Van Sant says. So I'm going to check this out and see what they got to say on here. And I might sum it up and put a video up. I'm going to start having more videos drop outside of the live shows. But we'll do that. I'm going to check this out. The night of Idaho student murders. I guess it's 48 hours of what happened and where they were, their whereabouts. Like I said, man, I appreciate y'all. Over on YouTube, we need 20 more subscribers. We'll be at 200. I'm going to be on MoeDotJ's channel after this, doing my Tubi movie. You know, we got to watch this little Tubi movie. But hit that subscribe button. Hit that follow button over there on Rumble. Shout out to Grandpa for raiding my Rumble room, man. I appreciate it. You know what I mean? So I'll be doing more videos. So if you're new over here on Rumble, hit that follow button. Because we definitely like to have people in the chat. And I'm going to figure out how to put the chat on the screen. I don't know how to do any of that, y'all. I'm just starting off with Rumble. But We're going to figure that out. I appreciate each and every one of you. Thanks for watching. I'm out.